A warm welcome to A Nurse's Lift to Work with Tina and Kate, coaching podcast by two healthcare professionals. We are friends, we are nurses, master NLP coaches, hypnotherapists, parents and business owners. We are busy people juggling many things just like you.
You are in for a treat. We will chat about informal coaching tips, coping strategies, and how to effectively change your mindset and have some fun along the way. So, hop on board with us for A Nurse's Lift to Work. Hello, and welcome to A Nurse's Lift to Work. I'm Tina.
And I'm Kate. Tina, let's talk confidence. We're gonna talk confidence.
Confidence. Is that from Wicked?
Yeah, I changed the lyrics.
I like it though. What is the actual lyrics?
Popular.
We're gonna be popular. Okay, we like this.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think anybody else wants me to sing anymore, so I'm not gonna.
well, I think they'll probably say the same about me. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode, which is all about confidence. Because what Kate and I notice when nurses talk to each other is they often say, I don't feel very confident, or I'm not confident enough to do X or Y. So, exploring the concept of confidence, what do we think about it, Kate?
Well, it's a funny one, isn't it, really? Because what does it actually mean? And I think that's a really good starting point, isn't it? What is confidence? And listeners, actually, I think this is probably very subjective, isn't it? What does confidence mean to you? Because what it means to you might be something completely different to me. Does it mean that you can stand up on stage and sing? Or does it mean that you can, speak to relatives and patients or doctors, or, what does it mean?
Exactly. And I think of some of the most outwardly confident nurses I've worked with who have been just really grounded and solid around their own decision making in a very quiet, unassuming way. So they haven't been like out there with a megaphone on a stage talking to thousands of nurses. They've just been those unassuming characters who are really clear about their purpose and about the way they make decisions and the fact that they're very solid and grounded in their rationales. All very posh words, but they are very clear why they do things and are very happy to explain to the people why. And are just kind of comfortable in that space of owning that.
I guess you could say, in simple words, sure of self.
Yeah, yeah. Self-surety. And interestingly, somebody like Brené Brown, who will pop in the show notes for you, talks a lot about vulnerability. That sure of self even includes the moments in which you go, I do not know the answer, but I am aware of other resources like my colleagues or books or the internet or something, or the patient and their family often, and I will seek out these other resources and I will find out the answer. So confidence isn't about knowing everything all the time.
So interesting, isn't it?
Mm.
Because, as you're talking about all that, I'm kind of thinking, why do we perceive confidence as something to be, something to strive for in ourselves? And do we seek to mimic that of others sometimes? If people are really confident and you can see them, kind of just getting on and doing, and you're like, oh, I wish I was like that because I'm not. Is it a perception that we want to be like somebody else in there?
Yeah, because that whole idea of fake it till you make it, a lot of really effective people and I would include myself in that when I was a clinical leader, other people would come up to me and go, God, I wish I could do that like you. Well, thank you for the compliment. No, you won't do it like me. You'll do it like yourself, first and foremost.
Yeah.
Secondly, I am just doing it based on courage. I sometimes don't know exactly what I'm doing. I'm feeling my way into the situation. I'm doing what I think probably is best. I'm learning as I go. I'm just kind of being brave and courageous. Is that confidence? I'm never sure. So often I think it's a really interesting conversation because are confident nurses those who just are courageous? So here's a challenge for all our listeners. When people say, I'm not confident enough to do that, is that another way of saying, I'm too scared?
Mm,
And
yeah.
if you are, that's all right. Who isn't scared? Everyone a little bit scared,
Mm.
maybe.
Yeah. And you do get those people who are almost, I need to know a little bit more before I become confident in it. The continual learners, those who strive to know more, but don't necessarily put into action what they already know.
Exactly. And if you never get started, it's never going to be perfect. I mean, if you were, I don't know, trying to learn to cook and you thought, oh, I know how to cook eggs, but I don't know how to cook an omelette, but I don't know how to do quiche, but then I don't, maybe I need to do a cordon bleu course. And
Mhm.
maybe, do you know what I mean? Just cook some eggs.
Yeah, because the the biggest step can sometimes be the smallest step, which is actually just the first one.
Because I think there's also something about trying and failing, which I find quite interesting about confidence. So I know it's a bit tricky to fail around patients and families.
Found, oh God.
No, I was just going to say that it's tricky to fail around patients and families. I get that. But it's
Mm,
equally quite helpful to just try something. If you don't try, you're never going to be able to do it.
mm. The other thing is as well is that I'd like people to think about is with with confidence, how do you know when you get it? Like I look back to my nursing career and those moments when I was like, oh my word. But then I don't remember the transition from going, what on earth am I doing, to, managing a department,
Yeah.
doing it well. And you're like, well, when did that happen? Because it's not necessarily something that you can put a finger on,
Mm.
or it's not a tangible thing that you can, it just happens.
Exactly. It's not like getting in a lift to the 110th floor, which is confidence. It's just, it doesn't happen like that, does it? Because we all might be more comfortable doing one thing than another. You move from
Mm,
novice to expert in nursing, but I bet you if I took an A&E nurse and popped them in a different scenario, they would initially feel like a novice. But they wouldn't be a novice in everything because they've got an amazing skill set. And
mm,
similarly, you could switch a community nurse into an A&E department, and they might have the same sensation. Oh gosh, this is all a bit freaky. But we all feel like that sometimes with new things, but new things become familiar things because we do them.
mm. It's that building, isn't it? Building on what we know. I actually think when we talk about confidence, it's just a combination of everything that's come before
Yeah,
and smushing it together under a new word.
yeah, And it's an accumulative effect, like you say.
Mm.
And the only way to get an accumulative effect is to do it.
Yeah. And you know what, guys, if you go back and listen to our first ever episode that we did when we were, when we first did oh, I've said first a lot, haven't I? Our very first one to now, the difference is amazing. It's so noticeable because we, in inverted commas, we know what we're doing.
Yeah, because we were little baby podcasters and we gave it a go. I mean, if we'd have said at that point in time, we're not going to do this until we're entirely confident, we wouldn't have done anything. And we wouldn't have grown and learnt. And in the future, we will talk about growth mindset with you all, but we wouldn't have done that. We wouldn't have learnt incrementally. You know, we've not published some episodes because they were a right old fandangle. And so, I mean, we've learned along the way and we've kept our sense of humour and we've grown and we've got technically more expert. And that's only happened because we've done it. And so you've got to put yourself out there is the first thing I would say. And if you find your mindset is going often to a place of, I'm just not confident, just think for a moment what feeling is going with that dialogue. If the feeling going with, oh, I'm just not confident is, I'm scared, that's okay. Everyone gets scared sometimes. So you just say to a colleague or you say to yourself, I just get a bit like, ooh, about this. So can you come alongside me a few times as I practice? Can you give me a bit more feedback? Can you tell me what goes through your mind when you do this? So just move into a place of like being more inquisitive and curious instead of scared.
I like that. So what you can do is, if you wanted to, is to write a list or make a note of things you think, oh, I don't feel particularly confident in X, Y, or Z. And then finish that with because. And if your because, your reason, your excuse, or your whatever is a load of rubbish, you can say to yourself, well, that's rubbish, isn't it? That's just a nothing. And then move on to the next one.
And another great tip is look at something in your life, doesn't have to be work necessarily, but could be, that you are feeling and would label yourself as supremely confident in that. It could be as simple as brushing your teeth, but it could be something more complicated, like cooking a roast.
I was very, very good.
I'm really good at this.
I'm actually doing the motions. I'm cleaning my teeth right here. I'm very, very
the
good
actions, everybody.
Yeah. Hold on to those feelings.
Yeah. And just go in your mind to that. Think, right, what's going on when I'm feeling those feelings? And then, like, how do they relate to when they're absent, i.e., not so confident? So just know that there's a difference in the feelings as well as the thinking.
And I think, my lovely friend, we shall leave you pondering all that we have said in this episode. So you have been listening to A Nurse's Lift to Work. I'm Kate.
And I'm Tina. You've been listening to A Nurse's Lift to Work with Kate and Tina. Please remember, this is not a replacement for medical treatment or help, so do seek assistance if you need to.
Thank you for joining us. Please do like, subscribe, give us stars, like and share with your friends and colleagues. All the good things.